Welcome to another episode, and today is a DIY guide on how to find a particular noise on your vehicle. Sometimes these can be quite elusive, really hard to pinpoint, but this vehicle has a nasty clunking noise right now that I will try to get on camera here or on the microphone. But this is, before I jack up the vehicle, I want a general idea what to look at. So this is the complete process that I take when I come across something like this. You can use this at home and really pinpoint where the problem is. Now, I'll try to get this again on camera in a moment. We'll do it in a moment, but let's start with the basics. Let's say you're going down the road, and when the pavement becomes uneven, could be maybe a manhole cover, could be just cracks in the road, and you hear some kind of crackling, could be thumping, could be clunking noise, the front end, even the rear end of the vehicle. The first thing I always do, lightly, very lightly, right now I'm pressing the brake pedal. So depress the brake pedal, and if the noise goes away, now this will happen immediately. So let's say we hear clunk, 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 or crackle, crackle. Once you press the brake pedal, if it goes away immediately, you do not have to press the brake pedal hard. You know it's a brake issue. Now, this vehicle had that problem maybe 10,000 miles ago, and typically that's just a floating caliper. Maybe the hardware has to be replaced. That's like 20 bucks. But now you've pinpointed, because typically you'll have it in one corner. So let's say front driver's side, you hit the brake pedal, the noise goes away, you know you have an issue, front driver's side brakes. That's it. You've already have an idea what to look at, okay? So now in this case, I don't hear anything going away when I press the brakes. I still have this clunking noise. Could be over a manhole, especially when turning. Now, it's not a CV boot. Typically with CV boots, you turn the wheel all the way full lock and you hear something. That's typically a torn CV boot. This doesn't have that issue. This just has I'm going to try to get this on camera, actually. It just did it. But let me see if I can get this on camera. I'll take my mic here off the seat belt. Try to get this here for you guys. All right, here we go. Not sure if that's coming up, but it's just a really nasty clunking noise. Now, you may be thinking, okay, suspension, maybe steering. Now, for steering, actually we could do this, let's go over here. For steering, what I like to do, because a friend of mine recently, this happened, he bought a used vehicle and he had a really bad clunking noise when turning the wheel. And someone did some work on the vehicle before, and it was missing like 3 fasteners, all relating to the steering box. Like 2 were loose, I think, and 1 was completely missing. And the way that we isolated it, just stop the car, okay? Just turn the wheel. Full lock, nothing. Everything's really smooth. Now, the other thing is the steering wheel is really tight, okay? There's no play in the steering wheel. Everything's really tight, so I don't think it's a steering issue whatsoever. I just don't see any symptoms that we have a steering issue. Typically, once again, stationary, you have all the weight on the vehicle, and just turn the wheel back and forth. Typically, you can get a pretty good sense if it's a steering issue. So now we're down to something suspension-wise. Now, what I like to do is get out of the car and put all my strength into it and actually rock the car or your truck or whatever. Now, if you have a truck and maybe it's coming from the rear end, if you have a tow hitch, fantastic location to really rock the hell out of the car. Just rock the hell out of it. I don't hear anything. Now, if you do hear something, the best thing is maybe get a buddy and you can even pinpoint it rather quickly. Typically, it may be a bad strut. Maybe the mount on top of the strut is completely shot. There's typically bearings on top of the strut, top strut mount. In this case, nothing. So I know it's not steering. I know it's not a brake issue, and I know it's not a suspension issue. So in my mind, what I think it is, just by doing this within the last 5 minutes, Most likely stabilizer links. That's what I'm thinking. Now, I don't know for sure. That is a well-known issue with these Subarus. I'm on my, I think my third pair on stabilizer links after the last 10 years and 100,000 miles. So my plan is, let's get it home, we'll jack it up and unbolt, just remove the stabilizer links, take it for a test drive, and if the noise goes away, we found the issue. If we still have the noise, then there's other things to look at. But before we get to that, let me show you some other tricks. So a few things we can do very quickly before we check out the sway bar links here, or the stabilizer links. First thing, you probably have seen this 1,000 times. Place your hands at the 3 and 9 o'clock position. Just shake the wheel. Give it a good shake. See if anything is loose. You may have a worn tie rod. Another thing I like to do is at the 6 o'clock position, both hands, and just really tug on it. This is rock solid. A couple of years ago, I showed a lower ball joint replacement video doing this, and you'll clearly see the ball joint move and feel it. Same if you have an upper ball joint on your vehicle, you can shake the 12 o'clock. Just make sure everything's nice and tight. You may even have a loose lug nut, a couple of lug nuts. That happened years ago actually on this vehicle. I think someone was messing around in the city when we parked on the street. But everything looks good here. Let's take a look underneath. Now this is what I believe is the culprit, the stabilizer or sway bar link. One on the driver's side, there's another on the passenger side. Again, lower ball joint, make sure that this is not separating the rubber. Make sure that's clearly pressed into the lower control arm. Again, if you have trouble when you shake the wheel at the 6 o'clock position, this will shake on you. Then you have the entire lower control arm assembly. I replaced this roughly 60,000 miles ago out of due diligence, just because my wife uses this as her daily and I don't want any issues. I want the car as clean as possible. But right back here is a mount. Typically if these go, you'll see a lot of cracking on the rubber, but you'll hear what sounds like a squeaky mattress when these mounts start to go. Everything looks good on the lower control arm. Always check your shock or strut, make sure that it's not leaking anything. And right here is the sway bar bushing. I've done videos on every single component here. I'll include a playlist below if you are interested in seeing any of these videos. So because we're removing the sway bar link, I'm going to remove the mount and just clean it off, put some grease, make sure, we're here, might as well do it. But this is the key. I think this is really the key. If you're looking for a vehicle, the older the better. I mean, that's just me. You want simplicity because a vehicle like this is just so simple to work on. 2010 Impreza, 180, almost 180,000 miles. It's, again, my wife's daily, placed over 100,000 miles on this vehicle, owned it for over 10 years, very easy to work on. Parts are cheap. You don't have to go crazy. It's more mechanical than electronic means. That's the key. So on the sway bar links, sometimes the threads will rotate as you try to remove the nut. So this is just an adjustable wrench. Some links you have to use an Allen key. I already loosened these up. Maybe not. There we go. So, let's see if we can get this here. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so I think we found the issue. Now, these are the old stabilizer links. These are Moog. They're very, very high quality, but this is rock solid. I can't even move it. If you look at the other end, it's supposed to be stiff like this. It's really my own fault. They're now 4.5 years old. I should be inserting grease in this at least once a year into the ends. And they're just bound up. Here's the other one. Again, rock solid. This joint I can move. And this is too loose. You hear the crackling? So really it's time to replace them. Now I happen to have these cheap aftermarket links here in the garage that fit the Subaru. If this works, I'm going to order OEM. and put factory parts. That's really the best thing for most vehicles. Go with the factory part. And these two are the mounts for the sway bar, and I'm just going to clean them out with a wire brush. Maybe put a little bit of grease on the ends, reinstall everything. We'll take it for a test drive. Okay, so here we go, guys. Now, I was reviewing some of the footage earlier when I was trying to get that clunking noise on the mic, and it sounds like it came through, but the key fob here was rattling away at the same time. So in this case, I'm going to keep the mic where it is, and I'll hold the key fob. And if we hear anything, we know that we still have an issue. You may hear something rolling around. I have a basketball in the back seat if you hear that, but hold on. Let's let this car pass us and straighten out, and here we go. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So we are in good shape. Inexpensive fix. This Subaru is happy again. Again, 178, 633 is the current mileage. 14 years on, still going strong. So as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.